This video is sponsored by Squarespace. What makes a great actor? The baseline standard is, of course, the ability for any actor to convincingly portray a vast array of emotions. But what about those actors who go the extra mile? What about those actors with a unique screen presence, charisma, or personality? Acting, like any creative art, is collaborative, but also competitive. And actors can do a lot to stand out by making bold choices. Sometimes those choices are risky, but when it pays off, an actor can completely steal a scene, a movie, or even an entire TV show. The 90s sci-fi epic Babylon 5 was fortunate enough to have two show stealers in the form of Andreas Katsulas as G'Kar and Peter Jurasik as Londo Mollari. These rich, colourful characters were most certainly strengthened by terrific writing, but it's the left-field choices of both actors that made them so magnetic to watch. Today we'll be exploring those choices, to see how they surpassed their co-stars, and brought G'Kar and Londo to life in vibrant and exciting ways that even their creator never imagined. Let's start with Andreas Katsulas as G'Kar. On the page and in appearance, G'Kar is a dark character. Having suffered under the occupation of his homeworld, he despises the Centauri and is consumed by a lust for revenge, a goal he is willing to do anything to accomplish, even if it means lying, cheating, and exacting cruelty on innocents. Any other actor would have played G'Kar as a brooding, stoic warrior harboring a fiery hatred. However, Andreas Katsulas goes in completely the opposite direction. He looks like the kind of alien foe who should be tussling with William Shatner at the Vasquez Rocks, but he behaves with the wit and charm of a French courtier. Katsulas imbues G'Kar with surprising camp and eccentricity. Rather than taking G'Kar at face value, Katsulas builds depth by adding a layer of deceptive sophistication to the character. Hidden beneath such heavy makeup, Katsulas puts his all into G'Kar's physicality, right down to the most minute details. This is a joyful performance by an actor who clearly loves his character. Watch any scene and mind how physically active he is, how much personality he infuses into every gesture and movement. In Babylon 5's pilot movie, watch how he dabs his mouth delicately with a handkerchief and skips down the corridor like he's in a Grace Kelly movie. It's such a bizarre contrast of design and performance that you can't help but smile at the audacity of it. Katsulas surprised even before the cameras were rolling by deciding on his own pronunciation for G'Kar's name.
Actually, the first time I created it was Jackar, J-A-C-K-A-R-R. And at one point I was talking to Andreas, he was rehearsing, and he introduced himself as G'Kar. And I said, G'Kar? He said, I've decided I'm French.
But as big and beautiful as this performance is, Katsulas is at his most powerful in the role when he's still, a contrast he uses to incredible effect in several key scenes. Take this example from the episode Mind War. When Catherine Sakai asks G'Kar why he had her rescued, at first he's evasive, and Katsulas plays G'Kar as his usual Oscar Wildean self. When G'Kar has to illustrate his point, he becomes even more theatrical.
And it asks another ant. What was that? How would it explain?
I love this little giggle he does here.
How would it explain?
But as their conversation deepens, moving into more philosophical territory, Katsulas drops the flowery eccentricity. He stops talking with his hands so much and lowers his voice into a calming melody. But even in this quieter section, Katsulas is still relishing the moment. Watch how he closes his eyes and sways slightly on the words billions of years older.
Billions of years older than either of our races.
And how he weaves through the words, constantly varying speed and volume. Listen to these couple lines, how he softens to a whisper on,
We know. We've tried.
And then raises his voice again in the following sentence.
And we've learned that we can either stay out from underfoot or be stepped on.
And on his final line, he protrudes his lips to emphasize the word alone.
And they must walk there alone.
Katsulas weaponizes this stillness again in the episode of The Coming of Shadows, when G'Kar announces the declaration of war against the Centauri. At the climax of the episode, G'Kar flew into an unhinged rage, with Katsulas shaking with anger and yelling his lines at the top of his lungs. But in the final scene, G'Kar is still. His line delivery is steady and unemotional for most of the speech. Towards the end, Katsulas shows the emotions breaking through, showing flashes of anger by tightening his facial muscles through the prosthetics.
Our hope for peace is over.
And as with the previous example, Katsulas emphasizes his final words by delivering the line, "We are at war," as if he's choking back tears.
We are now at war.
It's no wonder G'Kar gets so many great speeches throughout the series, because Andreas Katsulas is one hell of an orator. But before we talk about the scene every Babylon 5 fan knows is coming, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, the ultimate tool for creating your own beautiful website. I recently redesigned my website, galaxyclasspictures.com, using Squarespace's cutting-edge design tools like Blueprint AI, which helped me generate a brand new personalized template, which I then customized using Squarespace's easy-to-use Fluid engine. Squarespace also helps with your site's discoverability with their built-in SEO and domain name features. You can optimize your website so it shows up more often in searches and secure your ideal domain name. No extra fees and no add-ons required. Jump over to Squarespace using the link below to start building your website and use the coupon code Coleman to get 10% off your first purchase. Let's jump over to Peter Jurasik as Londo Mollari. Like so many of Katsulas' choices for G'Kar, Londo Mollari's iconic accent was invented by Jurasik himself. The actor simply started talking like that in the audition. Like Katsulas' physicality, Jurasik's bold choice of speaking voice is a powerful tool for injecting endless personality into every one of his lines. Though Jurasik was never attempting a specific accent, it's largely inspired by Slavic and Romance accents, making it heavy on consonants with short vowels and a slight Italian lilt. Jurasik also pairs the accent with a specific speaking quality. Though the actor's real voice is slightly hoarse, he adds a huge amount of graveliness to Londo's voice. Both elements combine to elevate every one of Jurasik's lines, even when he's just speaking someone's name.
Mr. Garibaldi, Captain Sheridan, G'Kar!
Or how about his famously low, "Yes"?
Yes. Yes.
Or his dismissive, "Fa."
Fa!
It heightens every single sentence in any circumstance. The ridiculousness of the voice turns anything funny.
Nibbled to death by cats. And you are cute too, in an annoying sort of way. Hello.
But the voice is at its strongest in moments of anger. The hard attack on consonants and clipped vowel sounds forced Jurasik to bare his sharp teeth a lot, making him appear all the more monstrous during his biggest outbursts. Listen to where Jurasik's voice goes in his first meeting with Mr. Morden.
I want it all back, the way that it was.
I don't even know how he does that with his voice.
Was.
The gravelly quality of Jurasik's voice also lends his quieter moments considerable gravitas. Even when he's whispering, Jurasik has to put force into his vocal cords to make this sound. His monologue in the Beginning is a great example of this.
But I loved Centauri Prime. Loved every inch of our world.
However, the best showcase of all of Jurasik's tools comes in the episode Into the Fire, where Londo confronts Mr. Morden. Listen to the way Jurasik says Morden's name at the start of the scene.
Mr. Morden.
Never has a name been said with such thinly veiled contempt. You can almost hear the anger and anticipation of revenge under every stretched out syllable.
Mr. Morden.
This is Londo's victory lap, and he maintains that gleeful rage for the first half of the scene as he dispenses with Morden's associates.
I'll have that painted over, I suppose.
But as Londo piles on the threats, he empowers his voice and flashes his fangs.
On any other day, Mr. Morden, you would be wrong. Today is a very different day.
Then he weakens his voice into a somber tone while talking about the sacrifice of the islanders.
They knew what was being asked of them.
And with Morden's fate sealed, he bares his teeth again while growling out his final lines.
What I have done, oh, Mr. Morgan, I have not even started with you yet.
As great as both actors are individually, they're at their best while sharing the screen together. Frankly, there are too many great two-hander scenes to choose from. If I highlighted all of my favorites, we'd be here forever. So for our final example, we have to look at the council scene from the long Twilight struggle. Andreas Katsulas is rightly praised for this scene, but Jurasik is excellent as well. At first, Londo appears to be at the height of arrogance, flashing his teeth and striking every consonant like a hammer against an anvil. However, a momentary pause to clear his throat reveals his true feelings, that this is a performance by Londo. He isn't triumphant in any way, only angry, and the worse he feels inside, the angrier he gets. Note their contrasting body language. Londo struts about the scene at the beginning, while G'Kar is hunched over, and in close-ups, Katsulas shows these winces of pain as he hears the terms of the treaty. Londo is all bluster, raising his voice into an enraged scream on the word now. And though he's been hunched over for most of the scene, when G'Kar stands, he towers over Londo. Again, Katsulas' power comes from his stillness. His voice is strong and steady, but the tension in his face, shallow breaths between his words, and his scanning eyes show the true pain underneath.
No dictator, no invader can hold an imprisoned population by force of arms forever.
During the speech, Jurasik adds a great detail by opening his mouth to interrupt, but deciding against it. Rather than ending the scene on a pained whisper as he did in the declaring war scene, Katsulas strengthens the final line. He raises his voice on
Though it take 1,000 years.
And emphasizes the word free by extending the last syllable, adding a graveliness to his voice and glaring at Londo as he says it.
We will be free.
Andreas Katsulas and Peter Jurasik came into Babylon 5 with bold, surprising choices. They took big risks with their characters, but the results are incredible. Their line delivery, body language, and sheer charisma makes them the stealers of every scene. The rest of the Babylon 5 cast are all strong, but the show belongs to these two. The only actors who could match their energy were each other. Two of the best written and performed characters in all of science fiction, and the beating heart of Babylon 5.
What, are you afraid I won't come back, G'Kar?
No, afraid you will.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay up to date on future uploads. On my Patreon, you can see videos early and ad-free. The link is in the description. Thank you to all of my patrons and members, with an ultra thanks to Eamon Kelly, Michael Hardy, County Ark, Mike Halsey, Olivia Computer, Bano, Jaron Walker, Tom, Director Kate, Patrick Fleming, Matthew Camille, Lilac Yane, Ed Mark Starr, Extreme Streamers, Howard Craig Kervick, and AS Caging 101. Thank you once again for watching, and until next time, have a good one.